Leaving home in the diaspora to fight for a country that isn't fully yours yet carries a profound moral weight. It is a choice rooted in historical duty, made long before ever putting on a uniform. But when the fighting stops, that rigid military purpose disappears. Returning veterans often face a sudden vacuum, where the intense focus of the front lines is replaced by the disorientation of civilian life. Instead of stability, they find an economic scarcity mindset. They are met with high-interest debt, a volatile housing market, and the weight of moral injury. Surviving the battlefield is only the first step. For many, the real challenge is not being crushed by the isolation and financial instability that follows. Dr. Paul Goldstein, a Holocaust survivor, lived this reality. His own survivor's guilt became the catalyst for a regenerative blueprint, a way to ensure that history's trauma could be transformed into a functional society. He left his son David with a mandate. Merely surviving history is not enough. As a Levy, the family legacy required taking active stewardship over the physical land and its ethical laws. This typed text is the 1917 Balfour Declaration. It provides the legal foundation for a Jewish national home, but the program argues that a legal right on paper is only a starting point. The core philosophy here is that Torah isn't in the cloud. Abstract logic and historical claims are secondary to the physical act of working the earth and maintaining its health. Moving from historical trauma to a guilt-free existence requires more than a promise. It requires a concrete operational system that humans can participate in daily. David Goldstein first tested this architecture in total isolation. His one-man Blue Zone challenge served as the crucible phase, the proof that these regenerative protocols could sustain a human life before they were scaled to others. Once proven, this protocol is applied to lone soldiers. They transition from the chaos of active duty into ARQ-18 modular habitats, controlled, self-sustaining environments designed for decompression and recovery. The biological reboot is hands-on. By participating in zero-waste agricultural labor and adopting a whole-food, plant-based diet, veterans work to physically flush combat-related stress and toxins from their systems. Simultaneously, they undergo a financial reboot. They are taught to arrest personal debt, known as ribbit, to stop the cycle of financial interest that keeps many veterans in a state of permanent economic survival. Once biological and financial pressures are stabilized, participants enter the consumer-to-asset economy. They use Barnes QIN technology to turn everyday consumption into equity in the land they steward. By regaining physical health and eliminating debt, the veteran moves from a position of reacting to trauma to a position of agency. They become the architects of their own stability. Managing the logistics of zero-waste farming is handled by Genie, an AI master gardener. It tracks the complex data needed to keep these closed-loop systems running perfectly. But an AI focused purely on efficiency can become blind to human needs. It requires a Levy steward to provide human intent and ensure the technology stays within moral boundaries. These three rules form the ethical firewall, ensuring technology serves human life. First, avoid exploitation. Do no harm. Second, prioritize land restoration and mentorship. Third, if an instruction is unclear, the AI uses an Aikido protocol to ask questions, finding a constructive solution. Algorithms can manage the drudgery of survival, but only a human steward, bound by historical obligation, can guarantee a guilt-free reality. This system is designed to grow. Staying in a one-man model would violate the Algonquin principle of the shared table, which argues that true security is found in community. The transition unfolds in a logical sequence, starting with the health of the individual and scaling outward. It begins with stabilizing personal health. Once physical and financial crises are resolved, individuals can begin land restoration. These restored lands support sustainable farms, producing a reliable nutritional surplus. This predictable baseline of food and resource security provides the essential foundation for building self-sufficient communities. As the network scales, the veterans move away from rigid military hierarchies and adopt flat, collaborative leadership models based on the concept of kahila, or community. By the end of the program, these participants are no longer defined by their past service or trauma. They graduate as certified Earth Guardians. Their daily reality is the management of modular hubs that generate a nutritional baseline of 2,000 calories a day for every participant, utilizing vertical farming to bypass the inefficiencies of traditional supply chains. In doing so, they fulfill Dr. Paul Goldstein's mandate. The historical obligation of the bloodline has been met by a new generation of stewards. Honor is earned through the act of stewardship. By choosing to defend life support systems, these veterans have transformed the trauma of the past into the ultimate privilege, a life of objective, guilt-free abundance.